Smith. It's really lovely to see you. Great location as well, loving being here. Today you're here for Off Limits. I always say in Off Limits, is there any subject that is off limits? But I know today there's going to be some difficult subjects we're probably going to talk about and some elephants in the room, shall we say, that need to be addressed. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm fine with that, yeah.
Good. Let's get stuck into it. I'm really fascinated to know about your childhood growing up, because the Smith brothers, synonymous with boxing, you've been involved in some really incredible historic events over the years in British boxing. But where did it come into your life?
I think it came into like the family's life where my dad's always loved it, had the boxing news every Thursday for so many years now, and then we lived a stone's throw away from the Rotunda Amateur Boxing Club, which is the club we all ended up boxing at, and still train from there now actually. But my dad, took Paul. Paul started boxing. I think Stephen just followed suit with your older brother, and again, where I was a little bit of the different one, I didn't want to. I never really followed suit with Stephen and Paul. I always wanted to play football, and my dream was always to play football. Even Callum started boxing before me, and then there's a lot of rumours why I started and how I started, but I started boxing because two of my friends in school started boxing, and they went to the Kirkdale, which was the Rotunda's like derby rival, so to speak. They were less than a mile apart, and I thought, right, well, I'm going to go to Rotunda and I'm going to box you two. Not knowing at the time one of them was well too heavy, and before you know it, I was having my first fight after 3 months. They weren't even boxing because of the racing home from school. I still used to fight with them in the house, and then at night it was, their conversations would be what they'd done in the gym, the three of them. And not that I felt left out, but they all knew what I'd been doing. I'd been outside with a ball in the street, and it was more they were talking about who sparred or who done this.
You felt left out? Yeah,
not like in a feel sorry sort of way, but
just wanted in on the action.
But then I'd go round the gym on the odd days where I had nothing to do. None of my mates were in the street. They've probably gone in for the tea. I'd run round the gym. Like I said, it was a stone throw away, so I'd run round the gym. But I'd go round the gym to mess about and be a nuisance. I'd be swinging on a rope that's dangling from the ceiling. There's a gymnast rope that goes from roof to floor, and I'd be swinging on that. And I'd go around there basically just to mess about. But then when I did start boxing, obviously, I did take to it and like it quite a bit.
I'm getting the vibe from what you're saying that as a child, you might have liked getting up to a bit of mischief. Is that fair to say? You grew up in Kirkdale. What was that like? What were you like as a child?
Yeah, obviously, you'd probably get a better answer than this off my mum and dad, but, like I said, being told the story, yeah, I was a rogue. I was always up to no good. I was bringing police to the front door for, I think I was on a school roof when I was meant to be in school. I think my uncle walked me to school. I said, right, I'm here now, and he's gone that way and I've gone that way and I haven't gone to school. And next minute I'm knocking on the door, the police are bringing me home because I think I was throwing stones and throwing eggs at taxi drivers because they used to chase you, and I think it was funny getting chased off taxi drivers. And
what age was that?
That was 9, 10. I got caught about to start smoking. My brother caught me and dragged me home. Said to me, Mum, I've just caught him smoking. And I was like, I was about to, but you never caught me smoking. And again, thinking I knew everything, thinking it was funny, but it weren't. And, my mum and dad moved out of the area because, decided because of me, really, because I think I was only going one way, really, and it weren't the best of ways I was going. I hated my mum and dad for 12 months. I blamed them, as if like you're taking me away from my mates, and I'm a parent on myself, so I can fully understand it, but they just thought of the bigger picture. A life I've got ahead of me. If I went that way, the way I was as a kid, I've just got a life of trouble, basically. And now, I probably thank them every day for it.
What was the Smith house like growing up? Because the picture in my head is with 4 brothers, 2 sisters. It just crazy kind of carnage all the time. Is that the case? Or?
Definitely was, yeah. It's silly now when you think of it, but we used to race home from school to see who was first on sparring to see who were putting the gloves
At
on
home.
first. Yeah, and like now you just think, well, wait, you're going to be on in a couple of minutes. But we'd race and we'd have winner stay on, and like at the time we sometimes only had one pair of gloves. We'd have one hand each, the other hand wrapped in a tea towel. But then we'd box, we'd be red raw, we'd batter each other, and we'd had a key in the door, and the gloves would be hid behind the living room door. And my mum would just come in and say, "You've been boxing?" And we go, "No." But we were red raw, sweating, ornaments would be broke or stashed away in the bin. Yeah, she hated it. She's hated it all along, but I think deep down she's proud now, and I've always said to everybody, my mum's happiest day will be when the four of us are all retired. But as kids we box, and we can only say now that's probably stood us good in the long run.
Yeah.
Maybe built us bits of character. Obviously, me getting beat up by the older brothers, same with Callum. Was always why we said Callum was the best. He took little bits off all three of us, but the house was always a madhouse. It's like going round to the madhouse. You have four brothers. If we weren't boxing, we'd be arguing over computer games. Who's on first? Who's on next? And
I was going to ask you, does the competitiveness spill out into other sports as well? Do you play other sports
everything.
together?
We're still like that now. We're still very competitive now. Pool, snooker. Me and Callum play golf. Paul and Stephen don't play golf, but we're still very competitive at everything we do. We're a close family with my two sisters and my mum and dad also. We're up there every day. But away from the cameras, we do lots of socialising outside of boxing. Me and Callum play golf, we go and play snooker together, and we just go for coffees and food day to day. And I think that's helped us grow closer as a family, but it's also helped us in life in boxing also. Every position.
Do you also sort of sit down and have Sunday lunch together?
Yeah, we
How do you have a table big enough? There's so many of you.
Well, my mum's always laughed and said, we give my mum a stick over cooking. My dad's the cook now, which is bizarre, but my mum always says, "I stopped doing roast dinners when you were all dieting." She went, "It's pointless, I'm not doing two roast dinners for me and your dad." So that's an excuse, by the way, for not doing roast dinners no more. But it's brought us closer in boxing. It's helped us in boxing also. Because of how close-knit we are, we feel like we've been in the situations before. An example, I come to challenge for a British title. The nerves I get for Paul and Stephen fighting, I feel like I'm fighting myself. It's worse. And that's not a myth, it is worse. I'd rather fight myself 10 times over than watch one of my brothers. But now sitting down now for a world title challenge, I remember being in the changing rooms when Paul challenged, when Stephen challenged. So it just settles that nerve a little bit, like, wow, I'm on an occasion here that I've never been. No, I feel like I've been there before, because I've sat there when Paul was getting his hand wrapped, ready to challenge for a world title. So I think the four of us being around that sport has helped us all.
Seems to be quite common that in boxing families, that if you're watching a family member box, you're more nervous sat watching than the person in the ring.
Yeah, I think it's more just the control. You can control yourself. I think I know how I'll handle a defeat. I don't know how he will handle if he loses. Do you understand what I mean?
It's out of your control, isn't it?
And it's the fear of that. And obviously there's a lot more into it. The fear of, we know what we sign up for, so it's the fear of him getting knocked flat out and stuff like that. But it's more just the love we have for each other. That's where the nerves come to it.
You had a moment, I guess, when you were growing up that was a big moment for your whole family when your sister Holly was diagnosed with autism. Do you remember that time? And if so, how do you remember it?
I remember it so much, like yesterday, because we didn't have a clue what it was. And, it's strange saying this, but we thought Holly was fine, just a normal baby. And we've come home and my mum said, "I need to speak to you." She said, "Holly's got autism, Holly's autistic." And it was just like this conversation now, like, "What's that, Mum?" I said, "No, look, it's a disability, it's..." She's like, "Really?" I said, "Yeah, like, if she doesn't talk by the time she's 10, she'll never talk." And we're like, just eye-openers, like, "What are you on about, Mum?" And it was just so, and that's more so why we tried so hard to raise, and we still do, raise awareness for it.
It seems important. It's always on your shorts, isn't it? It's on your T-shirt.
Yeah, it's everywhere. You wouldn't believe the messages we get and have done since the day we've done it through social media. It's very big now, autism, and I think a lot of people are aware what it is now. But at the time and for years, years on from that, nobody kind of knew what it was, and we got questions asked, and then now, even still now, we get praised for it, and we don't do it for that. It's more just so people know in that conversation when they get told, right, your son or your daughter's autistic, they're kind of aware what it is, whereas us as four lads growing up, we didn't have a clue what it was.
I guess it shapes your life as well, doesn't it? How you view things.
Yeah, and she's changed four of our lives as brothers.
Such a character.
She is, and she changed my dad as a man. You know, my dad and my mum are 24-hour carers for me, for Holly now. And she is a character. It's one of them. It's mad saying this now, but I wouldn't change it for the world now. The character she is, and you know, she has her ups and her downs, and they're very tough. It's very tough on my mum and dad, who were 24 hours with Holly. But like I say, a good days, a days, you know, we couldn't really describe to people. She is a character in herself.
I think it's fair to say that you didn't paint yourself or the sport in the best light.
I get there'll be people who will never accept my apology, or I'll never get back on side now, and what got said should never have been said. My dad's been massive. You know, everywhere you'll see the four of us in boxing, you'll see my dad not far behind, and my mum's very supportive in a sense. You know, going back to the amateurs, we'd say we train twice a day. My mum's got 8 towels just off us 4.
I can't imagine what the washing is like in
So
your house.
there's laundrette tips for my mum. She'd go to the laundrette with 3 big laundry bags, and you've got like 4 lads sets of training clothes, towels, and then you've got her own clothes, my dad's clothes, my sister's clothes. We go through clothes left, right and centre. So she's always been the supportive side in that sense. She knew everything we've gone through, but on the same breath will not sit and watch us box. Hates it.
She's a mum. She worries about you.
But she also sees what a lot of people don't see. She's seen the downsides to it. She's seen, you know, like I say, just a couple of things. She's seen us lose, sit, crying. You know, I remember failing weight, and I come down crying. She didn't know what it was. And before I'd weighed in, I just knew I was failing weight, and I cried, and I just said, I'm sorry, Mum. And I texted 3 brothers saying, look, I'm sorry. I was about to fail weight, because I knew the backlash that was going to come with it. And my mum just seen me sitting crying, my head in my hands, and she got up and walked out and went upstairs. And then she's crying upstairs, seeing me crying, and I just think that's something my mum probably never wants to see.
With all of you, who's the one that you go to if you need to talk to someone? Which one? Which brother?
Stephen. I think Stephen's the one we all go to. He's the brains of us also, to be honest with you. Just even outside boxing, he's the brains, but he's also probably the most understanding, the best advice. He needs an arm round you, put an arm round you. I think Stephen's the one with no ego, not scared to...
Like a level sounding board.
Yeah, of course, yeah. He's not scared to cry, he's not scared to sit and hug you and give you need a hug. He's the one... I think if you asked, like I say, if you asked me, Paul and Callum that question, I think we'd probably all give you Stephen as that answer. It's just quite unique that, just say my mum's had 4 sons, and 4 of them are British champions, 4 of them are professional boxers. It's not like 2 of them are boxers, 1 was a painter, 1 was a bricklayer. You know, I haven't got a brother now wearing a professional boxer. I think that's quite unique in itself. You know, if the old saying, it's in your blood, it's in your blood, and I think that's perfect for us 4 as boxers.
Is legacy quite important to you? Especially in Liverpool, I guess?
From a personal point of view, I'm not big on it. It doesn't bother me. From a family point of view, I think it's, again, what I just said before, it's unique what we've done, and I'm very proud of what we've done as a family. I think that legacy should be spoke about.
You didn't win the British title outright, but you did win a world title in 2015. Would that be the highlight for you of your career so far, do you think? Yeah,
definitely. I think everyone sets out once they go in boxing, and that's where I would have loved to have had that, you know, that moment where I've dreamt of this my whole life. But I can't lie and say I did have that, because I dreamt of playing football till I was 18. Even when I boxed, I started boxing at 14. I was still dreaming of playing football. I still wanted to play football. But then it was only 17, 18 years of age when I thought, I'm better at boxing than I am at football. And I was national champion, I was boxing for England. So it was more, if I'm going to make a living out of something, it's going to be boxing than football. So that's when I did start dreaming and wanting to aim to be a world champion, and to do that, having seen me two brothers devastated, falling short. Stephen had challenged, Paul had challenged, and just seeing what it meant to them by not winning it, for me to then win it. I got all the accolades, I got all the praise then of finally becoming world champion, and I was the first world champion from Liverpool for 23 years. So that was, from a selfish point of view, you know, brilliant for me. And it was, you know, it was great to get all them plaudits. But I have to say that was the highlight, yeah, definitely, because that's my aim now, to be a world champion again. So to do it once has got to be the highlight of my career, but to do it again, I'll probably top that.
Going into the Eubank fight, you had a really good run of form, didn't you? Wins against Fowler, Vargas, and also Moutinho. We will get stuck into the Eubank fight. It was a spicy build-up. We will talk about that in just a sec. But just going back a bit, how were you feeling going into that fight? It was a 50-50, but say Chris was the slight favourite going into that. Was there a doubt in your mind that you could lose to him?
No, I had no doubt I'd lose to Chris. The same doubt I'd lose to Chris, I had losing to Fowler, losing to Vargas, losing to Hassan. I know what we sign up for. I know there always is that risk and that element that one punch can change a fight. So that is the only doubt I had with Chris. You know, people saying, oh, I'm getting better with age. I'm probably not, hypothetically. You know, am I a better fighter now than I was when I was 28? Probably not. Do I know a little bit more know-how? Yes. But what I'm getting now is momentum, which I've begged for my whole career.
There was a lot of anticipation surrounding the fight, as you know. But the actual fight week was rather unsavoury. It sort of had a nasty turn. And I think it's fair to say that you didn't paint yourself or the sport in the best light. How are you reflecting on it now?
Yeah, obviously, you know, look, I regret every bit of the fight weekend. You know, the stuff that got said at the press conference should never have been said, you know, in any form of life, never mind just at a boxing press conference. But, you know, I'm still facing the backlash of it, still to this day, and there'll be people I'll never win back over. But, you know, I fully regret how that press conference went, and what got said should never have been said. And again, you know, I apologise to anyone I offended.
Can you understand why the people felt the way they did, and
yeah,
why their reaction was so strong? Yeah,
of course. And you know, again, I can understand it. People who looked into it, I can understand them, and I can understand them thinking I was trying to make fun of it. But you know, I fully went, and that was not my intention. And maybe I got caught up in the moment, sort of way. But you know, I fully regret how that press conference went.
Which, caught up in the moment, some people might say that's no excuse, is it?
Yeah, of course.
You know,
I get that, and I get there'll be people who will never accept my apology, or I'll never get back on side now, and that's something I've got to live with now going forward.
You did sort of go from being good guy to bad guy overnight, didn't you?
Yeah, I did, yeah.
How much did that hurt you, and how did you deal with the backlash? Because there was a lot of it, and you know, understandably so.
Yeah, you know, it killed me. It killed me because, like, again, I'm big on social media, I'm big on fans and public, and I read every comment, and you know, it killed me because, again, I said I went from the good guy to the bad guy. The comments hurt me because I'm not that person. I
think the overriding feeling as well was disappointment, because it was such a good night. What was your memory? What were your memories from the fight itself? Yeah,
that's what still, as much as it was probably the best night and the best, like the best, I can't really say the best win because of being world champion, but it was the best night, the best atmosphere I've had. That still hurt me a little bit, the build-up, because again, I've lost a lot of people from that. But going onto the fight and the night was special for me, you know, and it was special for me to still have them fans on board, and you know, the reception I got was something I'll never ever forget, and I said that right after the fight, you know, I'll never forget that reception I got.
It was a brilliant atmosphere. I think a lot of people thought you were going to win, but they almost seemed surprised when you did it in such sort of emphatic fashion. Did you get the sense of that as well?
Yeah, of course. It's more how I won, you know, and it was, for me, like I said, the reaction I got, so I remember reading something saying, you know, I was surprised I won. There was no surprise about the result. It was more how I done it. I was basically told, you can't do that. It was more, every media interview I got beforehand, it was like, you know, Chris's chin, got a very good chin. But it was more like, you might as well not throw the head. You can't hit him in the head. We're in boxing, we all know anybody can be knocked out at any given moment, and it was just more a surprise to people. Chris stumbling around the ring, you know.
Were you surprised when he triggered the rematch clause?
I think he has to take this rematch and to save face. If he goes a different route, he's going to get the backlash of, you know, you got knocked out and then ran from the rematch, because he put this rematch clause in place, not me.
What do you think would happen second time round? Are you convinced in yourself that you could beat him even easier, or...
Look, I just know it'll be the same result, whether it's the same outcome, as emphatic as it was, it'll be the same result, it'll be a Smith win. Chris can come with, try a different game plan, he can try and come and make me fight, but Chris knows now, you know, we sat at the gloves are off, and I'm pretty sure everybody watched that gloves are off, and he made fun of me getting dropped by Canelo. He made fun of me being hurt, and his reaction was, I've never been dropped, I've never so much have been hurt. And I said, you have? And he said, no, I haven't, I've never even been buzzed. And my answer to that is now, you've been buzzed, you've been dropped, you've been hurt, you've been stopped, your cornerman even was throwing the towel in.
Do you still have love for the sport?
Yeah, massively. I think
More
you've
so
got
than
to. If I could swap my career now for football, I would. But you know, I realise now that that's what's given me the life it's given me. It's given me the, you know, the highs have been the best highs in, probably better highs than you can have in football, you know, from a selfish point of view, you know, you've done that. But going back to like the question, I still love the sport. I still, at 34, I've been pro 15 years. To have the career I've had and still be doing the things I'm doing, I've got to love the sport, but also to get me in them shapes and to get me proper switched on to fights, I do need that fear, you know, to get in good shape. I've been world champion, and you know, like I said, I've earned good money over the sport, and for me to still do it now, I still need that fear, and that day the fight I want to be involved in, that bring the fear.
It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, and we wish you the best the rest of your career. Thanks for talking to us.
Thanks, Ollie. Thank you.
What is luck? There's only pain that's repeated. Cause people only see gains, never the times we're defeated. A bed of roses, they say, or a lucky stream of fate. Never a constant hill climb as our ambition dims and abates. Triumph takes time, any successes are sequential. Your dreams may be not dreams, but nigh manifested potential. Design your own world and then mold your role within it. Cause your will is the sky, but the sky is not your limit.